We all believe in driving towards an inclusive future, but what does that actually mean? A thought experiment from the effective altruism movement comes to mind. You're given a choice. A, you can save one person from a year of pain today, or B, you can save 100 people from a year of pain in 100 years' time. Most people would choose option B, indicating that we do value future generations. Being inclusive is not just about amplifying the voices of today, but also amplifying the rights and needs of unborn generations to come, of which there'll be many. Over the last 50 years, the call to act in a way that protects future generations has re-emerged. More and more books, conferences, and reports are heeding this call, bringing us to today. Today, we are at a tipping point where implementing more long-term thinking to protect future generations could be put into action through organised citizenry calling for systems change. To support this action, during the big brainstorm, we developed a Future Generations Activation Toolkit. We took lessons from the existing reputable resources on future generations and turn them into engaging and thought-provoking games. These games take no longer than 60 minutes to play, require minimal preparation, and are designed to be played in groups. The toolkit will be disseminated to educate leaders around the world on future generations and tip us over that tipping point into action. It can be used by us, young leaders organizations, but also by corporates or simply at home with friends and family. To give you an example of what we mean by engaging games, I thought I'd quickly walk you through one that we've developed based on the idea of solar geoengineering, which is discussed in the book, The Ministry for the Future. In this game, you imagine you are a head of a state, real or imagined, and you have to decide whether you want to vote to use solar geoengineering based on if you think it will help protect future generations. Your first prompt tells you about all the positives. It's a technology that requires us sending planes into the stratosphere to spread aerosol particles. These particles reflect some of the sun's solar radiation, preventing it from being trapped under our Earth's blanket, the atmosphere, cooling the global temperature and giving us more time to transition to a carbon neutral economy. You discuss the first prompt. Which way would you vote and why? But the second prompt tells you about all the negatives, the key risks associated with implementing the technology, including contributing to the depletion of the ozone layer and the fact that it could be used by governments and corporates to further delay action on the climate crisis. You discuss again, has your vote changed? Why or why not? And so on it goes until you've discussed all the prompts. By the end of the game, you've developed a deep appreciation for the complexity of trying to make decisions today that can protect future generations. But the Activation Toolkit is just the beginning. We want to support you and youth heading to Stockholm plus 50. Make sure that these youth representatives are empowered to engage in debate in a meaningful way for the protection of future generations. Phase 1 uses the toolkit to break the ice, to break down barriers between young people and topics like this, and lay a foundation of interest and engagement. Phase 2 will involve a curated development and onboarding process leading up to Stockholm plus 50 to develop deeper insights about the protection of future generations and implementing more long-term thinking. The result? Young leaders that are proactive and productive agents for the protection of future generations at Stockholm plus 50, and a model that can be replicated in many other spaces. So what are we asking for? 3 things. The UN Foundation to partner with us to make this happen. Translation services to translate the toolkit into other languages and make it more accessible, especially since many of the unborn generations will be in the global south. And 3, all of you to be future generations champions, to be leaders committing to utilizing the Activation Toolkit within your organizations, your workplaces, and with your networks to raise the profile of future generations. And on that note, if you would like to receive a copy of the Activation Toolkit, we'll be putting a link in the chat where you can sign up to receive it upon its release. Thank you.